Namaste, Mr. Andrew Glasson. Welcome to Don Bosco Senior Secondary School, Nerul. We are privileged to have you with us today. Please tell us about yourself as an Australian educator. What is your job that you do in Australia?
Yeah, namaste. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Andrew Glasson. I'm the Executive Manager for International Education Services. My portfolio is international business and student programs. I guess I'm here today to explore opportunities that we might work together. Where our focus is a global one. We look at opportunities around the world to develop teacher capacity and provide students with experiences in regards to South Australian education.
What's so unique about the South Australian education system?
Good question. I think we differ quite a bit from the other states of Australia in that, yes, we do provide the Australian curriculum 10 to 12, or reception to 10, but our senior secondary certificate, the SACE, is different to the others offered across Australia. From reception to 12, I think we've got a student-centric approach. We really believe in student agency. We think that if students have the opportunity to design and co-design their learning with teachers, everything from what they're going to study to how they're going to study it and be assessed, they'll certainly engage to a deeper level than many other students. If students can learn with passion and a sense of belonging in the process, everything from designing the success criteria of the assessment to the methodologies in which they are going to try and find information out, they're more engaged learners, and we find that more engaged learners do better. And so everything from primary to high school represents that. In terms of our SACE, the senior certificate, we have flexible pathways that are designed by students. We have some core compulsory subjects, and that would be your literacy, your numeracy, but we also have subjects that are designed by students representative of the pathways that they perceive that they're going to take post-school, whether that be in the tertiary sector, or whether that be in employment or apprenticeships. If a student can design what their year 11 looks like and what their year 12 looks like, again, they're more likely to succeed. And again, they're more likely to develop skills and capabilities that are representative of who they see themselves as being at that point in time, as well as looking forward to who they want to be in the future. So I do think that is significantly different. I also think that assessment is quite different in South Australia. We, in the senior years, have a 70-30 split in terms of assessment. The 70% is a teacher-based assessment, including peer assessment, that helps students understand who they are and shapes their learning as they go. 30% assessment is an external assessment, so it's moderated by other schools to ensure consistency, and that 30% of assessment may be a traditional exam, or it may be a product that students build representing their learning. The fact that we are not exam-centric, I think, is really positive too, because at the end of the day, when you think about the nature of the world that we currently live in, you're not really asked to represent everything you know within a short time span. And so we know students don't perform fantastically under pressure, and that's not representative of the real world. The real world, you have access to support however you need it, whenever you need it, to come up with a solution. And by offering students opportunities to represent their knowledge throughout their learning with the 70% and in a creative way within the 30%, we know that we can see who the student is and what their true capabilities are. And if we can do that, then it puts them in great stead for moving forward and the opportunities that may present too.
That's wonderful. I mean, quite progressive as you talk about co-creation of courses in the higher secondary level with the students. As you are exploring opportunities to connect with Indian schools and Indian students, what benefits do Indian students have, and are there any prerequisites to be a part of an Australian school exchange program?
Yeah, fantastic. A couple of points to that. in regards to how could Indian students benefit from exposure to South Australian education, it's really dependent on what we can build and how long they have. Certainly, we can offer graduate programs that may be 2 or 3 years in length. They may come over from year 10 and then do year 10, 11 and 12. That will give them a solid grounding in how Australians think. We're all the same in terms of the value of education, but how we arrive at the end point and the journey that we take to get there is often quite different. The South Australian classroom is quite collaborative in its nature, and we believe in participatory education. So students, again, as you said, will co-design the learning with a teacher. They'll also co-design it with their peers. And that means that what's expected of a student and the capabilities required to be successful are quite different to your traditional methodologies. A teacher will lead the learning and a student will replicate the answer. We don't believe that represents the modern world, and so that's why we have changed the nature of how we get students to participate in their learning and how we get them to show their knowledge. So I think graduate students that come for those programs will be immersed fully in different ways of knowledge construction, which will benefit them going forward. I think the exposure to different curricula, whether it be focused on a pure maths pathway or a STEM pathway or a performing arts pathway or even a health sciences pathway. The fact that students can choose the subjects that they do lets them have an ownership of the package of skills that they wish to build in relation to where they see themselves as going. So I think that that exposure to shape their learning leads to a different endpoint. In terms of students that might come for a shorter time, whether it be a term, 2 terms or 1 year, I think again they will get an exposure to different ways of thinking and doing. Certainly your school is really progressive in regards to how it supports students, but I think Australian schools are quite different in that they have an engagement with technology, just like this lab that we're sitting in at the moment, which is fantastic, that gives students industry exposure, and that exposure, whether it be over a 2-week study tour or their studies in general, lets them experience the opportunities post-school. Our schools in South Australia also participate with our universities, and our partnerships with our universities start from grade 10. And the exposure students get from engaging in university learning and getting accredited from grade 11 and 12 means that they try before they buy effectively. That means that they can explore a pathway of interest and work out if it truly is where they wish to go. So that investment happens early versus the transition to university, where within the first year or 2 years you may work out that that's not what you want. So at least students can make that decision prior to that transition point. We create bespoke programs for schools depending on the school's interests. I know Don Bosco is certainly focused on sport, and you've got a strong soccer program. We have opportunities in our schools that represent the curriculum initiatives and also the values that are represented in each of the schools that partner with us to provide them with, I guess, a value add or just a reinforcement of initiatives that support students to consolidate their learning and also develop new capabilities in different ways from a different approach to learning opportunities.
So for a short-term exchange program, what age group are you looking at? And what is the right age group that can go and be there for a short period of time and experience the culture and the education system?
Definitely. We tend to start with 12 years and over. Our primary school program is if they are coming as a student on a student visa, they would be 12 to 13 years in general. Many of our students come for the senior secondary component, and that's fantastic because you've got a mature learner at that point who has a sense of self and a sense of direction that we can value add to. But certainly the junior learner does get exposed to the breadth of curriculum over the period of time that they're there. In terms of short stay programs, same. It's from 12, 13 years and would focus on a 2-week or extended period of time in our school.
Right. You must have visited India before, and this time, I'm sure you must have felt there is something that you are also taking away for your students from the Indian schools that you are visiting.
Yeah, I certainly have. I've never been to Mumbai. And Mumbai it's exciting. All of India is exciting. It's a very dynamic country. I was last here in 2019, and the growth in the education sector and the experiences I've had have shown me that there is a changing nature of how parents value their child and what they value in their child. So I think that has been a significant shift. I think that there's a recognition of the holistic nature of the child, not just the academic ability, and that's really heartwarming to see, because that is who we should be working with, the whole child. I think that what I'll be taking away from my experience over the last couple of weeks is the spectrum of schools that I have seen. I find it challenging conceptualizing the governance structures as well as the curriculum authorities that you're working with. Each school is in a different context. Each school is working within that context to a significant extent, having significant benefit. And I'd love to go back to Australia and share with my principals and my schools what that looks like, why it's different, and what opportunities might exist to ensure any partnership is authentic and provides benefit to both South Australia and to India.
Thank you.